very keenly studying since the beginning in 2022. Mr. Pantho, my question would be, do you find Donald Trump's frustration, disappointment, or his opinions that he is really considering to quit from this negotiation, because we have got some hint from White House?
Thank you for the question. Quite so significant in today's matter. We know that he has tried to mediate between Ukraine and Russia, and according to the various news agencies and how he used to cover this issue, we realize that it's not bearing any kind of fruit or any kind of long-term results. And this is why that hesitant feeling between Donald Trump, in my opinion. But if you look at the latest news, Russia launched its largest aerial assault of Ukraine overnight, meaning last night, and it had deployed over 800 drones striking a Kiev government building for the first time. It's of course the Cabinet of Ministers building in Kiev, according to Reuters as well. So, and also the launching of 810 drones, 4 ballistic missiles and 9 cruise missiles. It is these are the numbers that CNN has picked out easily to show how much or more this aggression is getting larger, and how much the Kremlin is now attacking into governmental building offices, which is definitely a crime if you would think of it in a very neutral stance. But the mediation effort by US President Donald Trump, it hasn't bared any fruit, more as Vladimir Putin is now getting an easier access into attacking the heart of Ukraine, into Kiev. So the issue is progressive as of today. Maybe we will see another update throughout this entire week.
The analysis suggests an emerging anti-Western alignment, CRINKS. I mean, shrinks China, Russia, Iran, North Korea coordinating to challenge the US-led global order, albeit with internal frictions. The few BRICS members, along with some other members like Iran and North Korea, they are going to organize another anti-Western group. How do you see this?
Well,
why so one after one is creating?
It's the BRICS, and then you have the SCO, and now according to you, we have another global coalition of governments, if you would call it. There's one more, the coalition of the willing, that's tied into the Ukraine-Russia war. It's of course European nations with UK, Keir Starmer taking the mantle up in that side. But a word that has been taking to storm on social media, the global south, what is primarily known as Latin America, Africa and Asia, that have historically faced marginalization due to colonialism, economic inequality and structural disadvantages. These countries, of course, came together in the SCO summit, and of course the countries you have mentioned, and their entire alignment based on the fact is to not have any kind of dependency on Western nations or the US, if you would like to call it. And of course that also means how they would depend on one another and not depend on the US greenback, the dollar, which is definitely a point of concern for American policy making and of course foreign policy. But at this moment we know that the UN General Assembly is coming up in this very month, and the entire event is to look at the international worldwide issues, and not only so, the Palestinian statehood is going to be a matter, even though the US has blocked the entry of Mahmoud Abbas, the leader of the PLO, from Palestine Liberation Organization. But more the demand and the trends are showing that most nations are now looking forward to countries like China, Russia, Iran and North Korea. This imminent bloc is becoming so powerful, even in the optics when they were walking down the military parade on September 3rd in Beijing. China did showcase its military advancements, and of course Norman was pointing out how Turkey had recent developments in military stages as well. They have now established a steel dome following golden and iron dome of the respective Israel and USA. So it's easy to say that people are having a different notion of this year rather than previous years, as we've seen a unipolar world.
I want to pick two very powerful, very meaningful and to some extent very thought-provoking comment you have done. US has lost Middle East. This is one. Another one, United States operated operation in Iran on behalf of Israel. I want to put into your table, what is your position on that? When John Charles Dalton, a very experienced person, an American, says such, who has the background of Johns Hopkins University, how do you feel or how do you think about it?
Thank you. And of course, I was listening to Mr. Dalton on how his commentary regarding various American issues into the Middle East, and of course, the Gaza issue in Israel. And we've seen how the US has taken down the nuclear facilities of Iran during the war with Israel, the 12-day war, so much coined the term. But to my understanding, it has only galvanized and spiritualized Iran's need for a nuclear weapon. Whether or not they had one was the main issue of the attack, and the attack had happened, and major news outlets were saying that the facilities were completely decimated, destroyed. And if you look into the Gaza offensive, even this morning we have reports that there are numerous people who are killed. Israel attacks on schools, tents and homes kills at least 17 in Gaza. So this is an ongoing issue, and at the end we'll just, it'll be a very drastic sight. We'll have to see over 1 million Gazans who will have to flee either to into Egypt, if not into Jordan, if not into Syria. And this is a very bad thing for international policy and international rules, if you would like to call them. And yes, this time around, I was saying earlier how the General Assembly is set to take place in the last 10 days of this month. Whether or not the agreements and the disagreements, those with a conscience, those without a conscience, will be at head-to-head in front of the UN General Secretary as well. They will all be there to hear what every nation has to say regarding this international issue. But once again, in the last 9 months, and how America has been, having a weigh-in on the entire world situation. Some see this as a positive notion, some will debate that it's only going a downturn for Americans. We see how the DC police force has been federalized, and how the spillover effect is taking in place in Chicago, taking place in other places, like it might even take place in Baltimore as well. So were these things actually asked for before Donald Trump was elected into that,
That's it.
I would say, very religious seat?
US tariffs on India over Russian oil purchases affecting bilateral ties, because we have seen India has spoken very clearly in the SCO summit with two other big nations like Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping.
Quite so significant that we have this in Tianjin. The SCO had shown us how close the respectable leaders of Russia, China and India are. But as a direct consequence of America's imposing 50% tariff on India, it has turned old foes into friends. Let me elaborate. India and China has retaliatory past very recently over border skirmishes as well. So India had taken a different approach. They have decided that, okay, let us understand where China fits into the global world order or the hierarchy of the countries. And definitely we know in the last 25 years, China has proven itself to become the manufacturing giant that it is, the dragon of Asia, most people coin them as. But technological developments that China has is what sets them apart, and this is how India and likewise Russia and other ally countries are headed towards, were headed towards the SCO summit. They've seen the Chinese military parade, which shown the technological advancements even in military hardware. So that is definitely a point to be seen. But as initially, as Mr. Dalton was saying, how unpredictable Donald Trump is. We started this show and this commentary way back in May when Mr. Donald Trump was seen going into the Middle East. Back then, he had supplied weapons and had numerous deals inked with various Middle Eastern leaders, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and of course Bahrain. These are places, Qatar as well, who promised a new Air Force One jet plane to him. So that was the notion then. That back then his reputation and his popularity and today's popularity after meeting Putin and after having this entire fallout and not having getting any major answers or outcomes out of this talk with Putin in Alaska. So these are the rhetorics that have been changing over the months and weeks, and of course America is it's a huge, one would be wrong to call it a country, but it's almost like the size of a continent.